Hello and welcome. You're watching India Fights Back with your host Rajat Kane. Well, in this episode, we'll talk about the significance of taking a vaccine jab. Now, vaccination, as has been reiterated by the leaders and also medical experts, along with COVID appropriate behavior, is the only way so as to fight, contain, and ultimately defeat the COVID 19 pandemic. Vaccination. We'll once again underline that whosoever is eligible as per the medical guidelines should get their jab, either first or second, and be safe. Well, to discuss further on this important issue, we join with with a panel of two guests. Dr. Raman Ganga Kherkar, he is member National Task Force for COVID-19, and Dr. K. Madan Gopal, he is senior consultant health from Niti Aayog. Many thanks, gentlemen, for joining the show. Let me start with you, Dr. Kherkar. Say once again, a lot of leaders are once again emphasizing, underlining the importance of vaccination. What would you like to say or sum up about the current vaccination in the country?
Yeah, one of the things which all of us have to realize is there is a definitive evidence that second wave is on decline. If people don't adhere to COVID appropriate behavior and also not take vaccines wherever they are available, perhaps there is a risk that there might be resurgence that we might see as of now. Now, with respect to vaccines, we know that we are not getting vaccines in larger quantities as we would love to have. However, at the same time, we must remember that the states continue to have balanced vaccines that the central government has always been trying to inform the states. Now, given that fact, I think it is important for all of us to recognize that we are getting a period of lull. In that period, if you want to ensure that you will be able to reduce either the intensity of the third wave or try to prevent the third wave altogether, all of us need to take vaccine. Even if there is a single dose of vaccine that a person gets, we know
Right.
that in India, most often you might find more than 90% dosages are coming from Covishield.
Mm-hmm.
The vaccine efficacy of a single dose of Covishield is almost 69%. And
Mm-hmm.
couple that with COVID appropriate behavior, we would be largely protected if we use this opportunity of a decline
Mm-hmm.
in taking the vaccine and ensuring that we adhere to COVID appropriate behavior.
Right, right. That's really important. Many thanks, Dr. Ganga Kherkar, for your opening remarks. Let me have Dr. Madan Gopal here, sir. So, as you know, as we're discussing more and more about vaccination, at the same time, how it's really important to keep once again a surge of cases in bay. You also agree that this is the only way, coupled with COVID appropriate behavior, to at least contain another surge.
Yes, Rajat, I agree with that because the another surge is not. We are still in the second wave.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the way things are progressing, first the first wave was more or less concentrated in the urban, densely populated area. Then it was urban areas with with focusing, spreading to the peri-urban areas. Now it is spreading to the rural areas and the other areas which were untouched during these two waves. Wherever the COVID appropriate behavior, that is use of mask, the social distancing, and the hand hygiene and other things are not followed, you can see surge in the cases. Apart from that, as Dr. Raman sir has pointed out, that the vaccination, even a single dose of vaccination can provide at least 70% of your protection. If you look at the surge of cases in UK, though majority of the population there has received first dose of vaccination. But if you look at the hospitalization and the deaths due to this third wave, you will appreciate the role of the vaccination.
Mm-hmm.
Over to you, please.
Right, sir. Right. Sir, before I go to Dr. Raman Ganga Kherkar, I just want to pick your thoughts about it. Sir, I mean, in terms of pace of vaccination, you think it's satisfactory or perhaps a little more?
The pace of the vaccination, if you look at the production of the vaccines across the globe, we are producing the largest number of vaccines per month. And we are inoculating, in fact, at a very good pace, depending on the available stockpiles of vaccines. Yes.
Right. Dr. Ganga Khedkar, sir, I mean, are we still seeing vaccine hesitation among people, as we saw that during, rather post the second wave, especially the peak of second wave, the months of April, May, there were still certain areas where numbers were still there. At the same time, people were still hesitant to go for vaccination. Are we still seeing that hesitation?
At this point in time, perhaps vaccine hesitation has reduced compared to what it was before. But at the same time, we must also remember that if people repeatedly go to take their vaccine jabs, and if the jabs are not available, perhaps people they would have another cushion, another defense that they can always have, saying that the infections are declining, not many people are now dying, not many people are getting infected. Perhaps there is a room for them to develop vaccine hesitancy. And I think that kind of fear would always be there, mainly because you have another surrogate marker that people are going out without using mask and try to holiday. No, just knowing the fact that the new cases are declining, perhaps it may also spill over on vaccine uptake as well. And therefore, it is important to first involve the community, engage the community, try to ensure that they take the vaccine, they get the vaccine. If we do that really well, perhaps we should be better placed.
It's important, as you mentioned, the importance of communication here. So, I mean, did those visuals of people, partying or going to vacations on tourist destination at the at the mountains, did they come out as extremely worrisome, given the large, vast volume of people, being at one place, and many of them were not following COVID appropriate behaviors? At least that seemed from the visuals.
No, that's right. No, in a way, if you actually look at it, that was a reflection of risk perception. That, despite the fact that all of us have been grumbling about the second wave, the kind of stress that the healthcare infrastructure underwent, the issues that related to supplies, but we tend to forget very rapidly and tend to go back, or what is classically called as reversal to mean, like you go back to behavior that you want to adopt. No, that I think has to be avoided. It also told us one thing, that fear-based campaigns or fear can reduce the adherence to certain behaviors. But what you want, if you want it to be sustained, you have to involve peer leaders. You have to community leaders, so that people don't forget that part as easily as we have seen in the second wave now.
Right. Yeah, Dr. Madan Gopal, I mean, as let's confront, or let's discuss this issue of a large number of people assembling at hill stations, going to vacations. I know commercial activities are important. Rozgar is important for people. The day-to-day life has to go on. But at the same time, how do we communicate to public at large so that they can at least follow these norms?
This is one of the very, very important but very difficult to answer question. How to communicate to the people that the risk is not there. It's as mentioned by Dr. Raman, saying that the risk perception, they have been in the lockdown and other kind of restrictions for quite some time. After that time, after the worst is over, that means during the peak of the epidemic, that is in the month of April, May, people were so much annoyed, so much frustrated, that means they wanted to go out. So that kind of risk they might have taken it, but it's very difficult to communicate to these people. If somebody who is infected, somebody who is having 2 doses of vaccination, if they want to go out and party like that, it's very difficult to convince these people. whatever you say, you might have seen videos, even a child is asking the other persons to, uh, because that kind of communication has not gone. That is, a person is infected.
Mm-hmm.
So they feel that "Okay, I am infected, now I am recovered, I won't get this COVID infection again."
Mm-hmm.
So the reinfection communication and the breakthrough communication is, suppose somebody is vaccinated and they are saying that "Okay, vaccination has reduced hospitalization, vaccination has reduced the mortality, vaccination has reduced the severity of this. If somebody is vaccinated, if you look at the crowd which has gone from the bigger towns surrounding that hill station,
Mm-hmm.
you will see that most of the people either might have suffered the infection, or they might be vaccinated, or they either of these two things.
Mm-hmm.
And having remained in the concise place, everybody wants some outlet.
Mm-hmm.
For that, how to communicate to them that the importance of still having a caution, because we are still in the second wave. We have not yet overcome. If you look at the number of cases, average on 40,000 cases per day, which is 50% of the first wave. That means we have still not reached the
Yes.
this ladder of this. We can say that the wave is over. When the restriction lifted, they thought that "Okay, now everything is under control and they are vaccinated, they are already had the infection, they won't get the infection." If that kind of belief is there, it's very difficult to communicate to them. And we have to see that how to strategize a communication which can address the person who is infected. He can also get reinfection if he doesn't follow COVID appropriate behavior. The person who is vaccinated, he has to also follow caution, otherwise he can also get infected. That kind of communication has to, this is a communication challenge, and we have to see that how we, this, and the peer messages from the peer group, they usually take a very important part in communicating this kind of messages. Over to you, please.
That's extremely important, and especially as you highlight that we are still clocking around 40,000 cases a day, and that is nearly of 50% of the peak of the first wave. So clearly, we're not out of any woods yet, and that's what the experts are saying. Dear viewers, if you're watching this show, please listen to experts, as we always emphasize on the show. These are experts. They are giving you first-hand information and the first-hand suggestion as to how to keep this pandemic at bay. So vaccination plus COVID-appropriate behavior is extremely essential. Dr. Raman Gangakhedkar, sir, this is another question that we keep often hearing from people. There are people who have recovered. There are people who are waiting for the second dose. The gap between the two doses and gap from recovery to another dose, you think there is a need for revision of that, or at this point of time it's fairly optimal to have 12 to 14 weeks of gap? Will reduction, or to say any revision in the gap, would spurt up the vaccination numbers?
See, one thing which I would say, if we believe in the statistics that 69% of the people could perhaps be protected if they receive even single dose. Now, we also know at the same time that the number of dosages that are available are not increasing as dramatically or as one would have loved to. So given that issue, even if today you maintain that period which looks apparently very long, we should be able to prevent many infections if we give single dose to many. Now, if we try to focus more on bringing that particular thing to 4 weeks or 6 weeks as people may demand, or some people may demand, not only it is perhaps not based on evidence as of now, but at the same time, what is also important is it can affect a public health response that could come by. And we also need to remember, though we know that even against Delta, the current evidences that are emerging, that Delta variant perhaps requires 2 dosages to occur, we also need to reflect within. This is a lab data, and you look at what happened within our own communities where Delta variant, now it is expected that 92% of the cases are occurring because of Delta variant in India. Now, if this is so, there is still a decline. So to my mind, there is a room to think that we can defer this decision making for a little while, for both public health reasons, for the scientific reasons. And what is also important for us to recognize is the feasibility related issue that might crop up. We would still be able to do that really well as of now by deferring that decision making. Otherwise, my fear would be that if you reduce the interval again, people would get frustrated that every 2 months you are changing the
Right.
interval all the time, and this issue may be added to the issue of vaccine hesitancy furthermore.
Right, right. Dr. Madan Gopal, your take, I mean, in terms of the vaccine protocol of the gap between two doses and post-recovery, is it the optimal period, or perhaps it requires a relook?
Uh, it is the expert group to decide. We are having a national expert group for vaccine thing. They will be deciding on that. But the available evidence from the Western world, that is especially from UK, where they have increased the duration of the gap of the first and the second dose. The theory is very simple, that they want to give the first dose to as many people as possible. They have completed the inoculating the sizable portion of the population with first dose. That's why you can see the results of that. That means even after a surge of Delta variant in UK, the hospitalization is not that high. The mortality is not that high. So we have to stick to, as the Dr. Ganga Khedkar sir has rightly pointed out, that we should not be changing the duration of the gaps. But it is the expert group to decide. We are having a national task force for this vaccination. They usually take a call, what should be the gap on that. But looking at the evidence from the other countries, it is better to stick to the gap which has been between them, so that we can inoculate at least a sizable population with single dose of this vaccination.
Right, right. That's important. Many thanks, Dr. K. Madan Gopal. I know you have to go for the meeting. I wish you all the best, and many thanks for once again becoming a part of the show. Dr. Raman Ganga Khedkar, sir, you know, there is, as we know, that last week around, Prime Minister and a lot of other, medical officers, they've held a meeting with the representatives and the leadership of the northeastern states. So, does some areas in the country continues to be area of concern?
Absolutely. Now, that has been a classical pattern in this particular second wave that we have witnessed. You find that second wave is particularly severe in rural areas more than urban areas. If you look at why that is happening, it is perhaps not only reflection of population density, despite the fact that population density is low. You tend to get it more in the rural area. It is only because in the first wave, rural areas were spared to a larger extent because of extremely successful lockdown as well as reduced mobility. And similarly, you find for Northeast, which was completely, if you look at the first wave statistics, you find Northeast was hardly there. One of the fears, if I recall, during the first wave time, people used to say to us that people may travel from other parts to Northeast because it has not reached Northeast, and Northeast is a good picnic spot. So essentially what is happening now is the vulnerable population size was larger in Northeast, and therefore the surge has been higher there. You cannot try and make changes in people's behavior without involving community. So what Honorable Prime Minister did is perhaps the best example to set in, and that is to try and ensure that students, those opinion leaders, you have to try your best to ensure that people understand the gravity and adhere to COVID appropriate behavior while taking the vaccine, or even if they have not received the vaccine.
Involvement of the local community and also responsible leadership of a particular area is extremely essential, so as to make a mark and, of course, at the same time contain the spread as soon or as quickly as possible. Dr. Raman Ganga Khedkar, as we go towards the close of the show, sir, there are once again I would like to underline, as we are still having more than 40,000 cases a day. and there happens to be a vaccine hesitation among people still prevalent in certain areas, what is a way forward?
The way forward, to my mind, is trying to ensure that people understand that mere few months of experience that we are not getting in this particular second wave of the deaths that we saw, the morbidity that we saw in the second wave, shouldn't make you forget that this infection has not gone. What is extremely critical for us to remember that the world is a global village. Now, until the time everywhere in the world this coronavirus is not getting reported, which would perhaps be even declared by World Health Organization if we reach that particular step, and whenever we reach that stage, if until then all of us have to continue to believe that coronavirus is around us. We have to ensure that we receive vaccine. If I have received vaccine or if I have not received vaccine, I should never forget COVID appropriate behaviors adherence, for the sole reason that COVID appropriate behavior can reduce the risk of acquisition of this infection by almost 85%. And we should never forget that part. If we are told to sacrifice our social life for another 6 months, when perhaps within 6 months everybody would be immunized, and we may perhaps be adhering to COVID appropriate behavior as rigorously, you would not find yourself in such a tight spot where we don't see the end of this pandemic. If you want to see the end of the pandemic, we have to accept one thing: it is very much here. It can come back to us. This is a guerrilla warfare between the virus and human beings, and we should not be found susceptible by not adhering to COVID appropriate behavior.
Certainly, certainly. So clearly these are clear suggestions from our expert panel. So whosoever is watching the show, please listen to experts. Do not listen to hearsay. Keep maintaining COVID appropriate behavior and get your vaccination jab if you're eligible. Many thanks, Dr. Raman Gangakherkar, for joining us and enlightening our viewers as to what needs to be done. We are still not out of woods yet. Stay safe. Thank you. Goodbye.